Hi, Jake.
Hey Clarence, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I love your Sentinel shirt. It's
Oh,
it's
awesome.
it's,
Thank you.
it's X-Men too, right?
Yeah. It's a bunch of X-Men on
Yeah.
it. I think that's
That's is that
one
a
of the.
Roosevelt shirt?
Yeah, it's a Roosevelt shirt.
Yeah. Nice. I have a couple, but they're all Disney
Yeah,
shirts.
no, they're great. They're great
Um,
shirts.
Very nice to meet you. So I obviously you have done a fantastic amount of work directing animated series. What is it about the medium of animation that engages you so much creatively?
I mean, I think for me, I love film. I love telling stories. I love the visual medium. Animation. I mean, at least it gives the illusion of you just have more control. You have more control just over everything. Like it sort of evens out. For example, on a live action shoot, you're at the mercy of sound, weather,
Mhm.
actors showing up fitting in suits or costumes, etc. What have you. Animation, if it doesn't work, we redraw it. We make it work. And I'm super lightly paraphrasing, you know,
Yeah.
dwindling it down to the most, simplistic answer, but oh, we redo it. We make it. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Well, we can make it make sense. Like that's the best part. Like we can draw ourselves out of our problems. And that's what I love about that. Also draw ourselves into problems, just as like. But what I love about the animated medium is it's also what I grew up with. It's
Mhm.
from watching anime to feature film, Disney stuff, anything and all in between. That's just always been in my just it's always been the ether around me and what I've been focusing on, especially TV animation. I grew up watching X-Men the animated show. I grew up watching Batman the animated series. Those two series and the creators within are very foundations and fabrications of who I am as an artist and nerd and why I love these characters and IPs. And so growing up seeing that and going, oh, I want to do that. Like obviously movies and stuff did it for me as well, but once I found out you can actually, oh, people get paid to draw and do those things. Ooh, just that was all they wrote, man.
Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up. And I was obsessed with that from a kid. And I'll still am to now. I couldn't do this if I didn't love what I was doing for a living.
Absolutely. I have to stop and say I'm incredibly distracted by your fantastic Phoenix, Jean Grey Phoenix
Yeah, oh, this one, yeah,
figure back there. Yeah,
yeah.
my
That's the
my
portrait
favorite
of the.
X-Men character ever because that series came out at a when I was about 13, the original version.
Right.
I'm a little bit older than you. So it made a huge impact on me at that age, as you can imagine.
Oh,
um,
absolutely, right. That's what I love about entertainment, whether it's movies, comics, right? It's so imperative on where we are at in life and where we
mhm,
are at as a person, right? Is how that will affect us. And it's my favorite thing about working on this IP and visiting these characters is my outlook has changed from the time I started with them to the time I have them now, to see growth, to see or just even relate to things that I didn't get to relate before, with just same, right. When the Phoenix saga came out, when that era came out, you felt the way you felt when you first read it. You feel a different type of way when you read
mhm.
it, still read it now, right? You just have different perspective, different learned things that you've gone through, while still having in the mind's eye of when you viewed it in the adolescence, right? We always have those rose-colored lenses, but I don't know. That's what I love about X-Men IP. For a lot of stuff that doesn't age really well, a
Mhm.
lot of it does.
Yeah.
A ton of it does. And there's a reason for that. And I love it. So yeah, just a side little tidbit, but yeah, it's good. Thanks for sharing that.
No, and you're watching X-Men 97 has spurred me on to go back and reread something that's been on my shelf for years. And reread the Inferno saga. I've
Yeah.
got the book,
Do you have the individual? Do you have the
yeah.
individuals or do you have the trade?
No, I've got the paperback, the big paperback
Oh, that's
of them
awesome.
all individually. I do have some of them somewhere at my parents' house, but anyway, that's for a different conversation.
Right.
You talked about different perspectives and looking at and viewing these stories and these characters through different lenses as you age. This show is obviously a lot more mature in its tone than the original X-Men series. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so one that was in the the mission statement and the Bible from day one. That was Bo DeMayo's vision was and anybody who was around for the original show and who is still
Mhm.
with us today. We've gone through a plethora of things as a people, and we've gone through everything from 9/11 to COVID, the age of innocence, the reality of consequences, right? We were introduced to that, and one of the more in a very harsh and real way, very sudden way, right? We had to grow up. We were forced to grow up and face real consequences. And so having that being said, the audience that X-Men was aiming to, we've grown up, so and that's what I like about why I think it's resonating so much with audiences today, because one, the themes and the consequences are real. It's real relatable stuff. Yes, it's under the guise of cape and cowls and mutant abilities, but these are real themes. Prejudice is real. Loss of life is real. Loss of loved ones is real. Uh, attacks for sake of evil,
Mhm.
or righteous, feeling righteous in attacking, innocence. That's all. It's right outside our windows, man. And that's to to come to bring the show back and to not. Sorry, my dog has a cone on and he's scratching really loud. Apologies. Um,
That's okay.
well, good boy.
Cone
Uh,
of shame.
yeah, poor guy. Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. But damn, totally lost my train of thought. Apologies.
That's okay. Actually, I can pick up from that. And, you know, I know looking at the show, you can't look at the Genosha episode and not think of 9/11.
Sure.
And
Right.
even, I mean, I know this series had been created well in advance of modern events, but you can't look at it and not think about what's going on in the Middle East. You know,
Or anywhere, right?
yeah,
And that's the thing, when you do this stuff, art is always, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? We do
Mhm.
stories and narratives and try use themes that just can be relatable without having to
Mhm.
explain so much, right? And so and that's what I love about this IP and the show and what the X-Men mean to people is you can pull whatever you need to pull for it to be relatable for you or to find yourself in the IP, right? Or into the characters or into the themes, let alone the myriad of years that we have of
Right.
information and stories to fall back on. So, that's and that's what I love about it. The OG show never shied away from real themes. It was
Mhm.
under the bubble wrapping of a Saturday morning cartoon, but they never shied away from the themes that made the X-Men what the X-Men are or why they were
Right.
created. For us to follow in kind, that's just ingrained in the DNA of the show. For us to be a spiritual successor or a revival, we got to follow in kind. But to that point, we've also evolved as an audience, as a people. We've become a little desensitized to certain things, or more desensitized to certain things. That's why, like when it comes to violence or anything that could be potentially gratuitous in any way nature, it was always fun for us. Like not necessarily fun, but what I appreciate about our team is the false parameters we always give ourselves. It's
Mhm.
the just because we can doesn't mean we necessarily should or will, but it's we can touch on things or pull, we can find the right amount of, oh, that's not shying away from what this really is versus, ooh, that's going to make people think a little bit. And when they think, it'll click.
Right.
Uh just just to be quite frank, man, the audience has just become more savvy these days. We have a
Mhm.
lot more connection. We have these things. Oh no, did I lose them?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
no,
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
here.
Okay, good.
Keep going.
We have these. We're just connected. But there's so much. going on, and if we didn't approach that with, with that in mind of, modern audiences, they don't need their hands held as much. We don't need to necessarily, protect them as much from stuff. We can, not only are we in an IP that lends itself to, no, show the hard thing, talk about the hard thing, say as the show says, right? Say the quiet part out loud.
Mhm.
It's, uh, yeah, it's just that's what I love about it. That's what I appreciate about what our show is doing. We're just taking what the OG show did. We're standing on the shoulders and we're just elevating it and adapting it to audiences of today, while still having it be in that vein of the 90s nostalgia, because there's a reason why we're using the 90s nostalgia and the same themes and allegories, because as much as we've grown and as far as we've come, we have so far to go still, and reminders are just good for everybody.
Right.
We all have blind spots, right? So I think, in the long-winded answer, I think that's just why our show is resonating the way it is.
Mhm. So I want to talk specifically about the episode that you directed, which is the pilot episode, To Me, My X-Men. Um, Obviously, there's the creative challenge of the skepticism that's probably baked into an audience returning to this material and thinking, oh, it's Disney. I'm not, they're going to mess it up and all that.
Yep.
So there has to be the creative challenge of addressing that. And did that excite you? Did that engage you? You know, what was it like
Well,
directing that pilot?
one, it was awesome. It was hectic because I was also directing the pilot while also supervising, directing, and supervising producing, while staffing up the team and getting our other episodic directors and learning out how the Marvel machine works, and all of that stuff, while still trying to artistically and with integrity tell the first leap of our journey.
Mhm.
Um, for myself, I appreciated, it was a challenge, but I appreciated the restraint I had to show as a director. Um, did I want to push stuff that, that we do in episode 2, even 3 and 4? Like, absolutely, I wanted to do that. But if we push the bar too far, too fast, we're no longer that show. And then you know what I mean? There's got to be room for things to go. Also, that being said, it's about earning the audience's trust, not to bait and switch
Right.
them, to let them know, no, we hear you. We're X-Men fans too. It's the do not forget the type of people that are working on this IP.
Mhm.
It is never unbeknownst to us, the torch that we carry, the legacy that we carry, the responsibility that we have, to deliver this. And with that question, you said, my favorite thing that Eric Lewald loves to tell me every time, like we just met up last night, Eric and Julia Lewald, they're wonderful. But Eric, my favorite thing that he loves to tell me is, when we start talking, he goes, man, with reboots, this could have gone so bad. This could have went so bad. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, Eric, I know. And he goes, but it didn't. It went
Not at
completely
all.
opposite way. So one, getting that feedback, that kind of feedback from the Leewalds, right? But two, he's right. It could have gone so bad. We see a lot of reboots of stuff, not be successful. We see a lot of, bringing back things, but they forget the fundamental of why the thing may or may not have been created in the first place, and
Mhm.
that's why, what interested me when I was, when I was asked to, potentially come on board, interview, do the pitch and all that stuff. When I read the Bible, that really, those elements being addressed is what drew me to the project even more. Of course, I'm going to say yes at an opportunity to work on an X-Men anything, but then
Right.
it's this X-Men show, and this is what we're doing with the characters, tones, themes, etc. We're not shying away, and we're trying to do it right, and we're also trying to validate everything with story. Man, sign me up.
Right.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
the very basis of what drew us to the books, right? It's
Mhm.
the outlandish, wildest stories, these ridiculous mutant powers and abilities, and then the combinations that you can do where within. the inner monologues of characters having, explaining what, their powers do, but it goes by in an instant because you think you see the effect moving or whatever, that pacing fell on us as individuals, and so for me directing on that first episode, it was, obviously we got to hit all those nostalgia things, but we also have to introduce validating why we're bringing it back just slightly, but enough to have audiences go, oh, okay. Because if we didn't, then it becomes, it's just I'm just going to go watch the OG show, which is great. We want that, but we also would like, people to watch X-Men 97. So just, it was a juggling act of, yes, we want to put everything in the kitchen sink, and yes, I want to put cameos and callbacks to everything. But at the end of the day, story over everything. If it doesn't service the narrative, it doesn't go in. That's something we operate by on a whole as a show, whether it's design, characters, color, paint, editing, voice acting, whatever it is. If it doesn't service the narrative, it doesn't go in. And that's what keeps us honest as far as, cameos and what we want to do callbacks to. But yeah, and that's what I appreciated, and I love the fact that I got to, never mind it being daunting, that, oh, by the way, you're going to be the first step out there with the show, like, but getting to be there for that first leap with having a great fucking team, just to be quite frank, to be backed up with, but then just getting to supervise every episode after that, just, yes, I'm not directing on every episode, but I'm very much attached to every episode after even the one that I've directed. So what I learned from that was, again, just nailing down story over everything. Not like I didn't have that coming in, but it really, that's how we're going to get through this, story over
Mhm.
everything. That's how we're going to decide what babies we have to kill. That's where we're going to have to decide to let things go. And that's how we're going to have to decide this is best for the best idea wins. Because when the best idea wins, the show wins. And when the show wins, we all win. Right. Because
Absolutely.
we're making stuff we want to see. That's just what it comes down to. Yes, we are aware of, people may or may not like what some of the changes we like or make, or some of the story arcs we do. Oh, the audience might not like that. But we can't dwell in any of that, because if we dwell on that, nothing would ever get done. We have to make the movies and the themes and just experiences that we appreciate. We feel, if we're sad, you guys are most likely going to be sad. If we're jazzed about an action scene, you guys are going to be jazzed about an action scene. There's just a lot of that synergy going on in all aspects of the teams on the show.
Well, Jake, clearly you have so much passion for this. Thank you so much for the time here. Thank you for bringing this show, helping bring this show to us in such great quality. It's as a fan, it's been fantastic to absorb.
Dude, thanks, man. Just yeah. On behalf of the team, thank you. Appreciate the love and support you got for the show. And yeah, as a fan and as a creator and creative myself, it's been the same on this end. So thank you.
No worries. Take care.
Have a good one, man. See you.
You too.